Hey, how are you?
Jeez.
Good afternoon, everyone. We'll kick it off with
No statement? No statement? Okay. The preseason poll came out today. Your team was picked 7th in what should be a really strong league again. Do you like going into a season with expectations like that?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty happy with that. You know, I know what we're capable of. That pick to me is respect. I mean, it's the highest pick. It's the highest pick we've had since I think 2017. So, we're just humble and hungry at the end of the day. So no matter what they picked us, our grind is going to be the same and just remain humble and hungry.
Saw you last week with Paris and Kamura down at ACC tip-off. Have they kind of embraced that leadership role on and off the court? They've been in the program now 3 years each, I think, or this is their 3rd year. How have they kind of gone about being leaders for the program?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously this is their 2nd year in a row being voted captain by their teammates. So that was awesome to see, that they resonated with last year's team and this year's team as leaders. But I think they're really taking pride in that role. I think they're very comfortable in their, I guess, comfortable in their game and also comfortable in our system and really feel comfortable leading because they know what to expect. They know standards. They know the system. They know all of that stuff. So Mo in particular has made a huge jump from last year leadership-wise. She just really taking ownership of huddling the team when, something's going wrong, or even if it's huddling the team and it's an encouraging word or it's snapping people back into it. Paris is doing that too, but that's been a real big point of emphasis for Mo and her growth. So she's really taking pride in that.
Kind of going off of that, with the 7 new transfers that you did bring in, how does having girls like that coming back who've been here for a few years, how does that help the transfers throughout this process too?
It's been a huge help because, the culture, we've had some continuity with those 5 with our culture. And so now they're defending the culture and, they understand everything that we've been preaching. So the new ones come in and they came here for the culture. They came here to be a part of winning and be a part of something special and get better individually and things like that. So it's more of this is how we do it here, and okay, that's great, rather than trying to, still get everybody to buy in and understand what we're doing. So having the continuity with those 5 kids, those returners, has been huge. I mean, all of them but Bree have been here for 3 straight seasons, so it's been good.
I was going to ask about Bree next, obviously going into her 2nd year now, and she played a lot of minutes last year for you guys. How have you just kind of seen her grow over the course of this offseason this year?
Yeah, you always hope that your first years have a jump between their 1st and 2nd year. That's that big jump with strength conditioning, with understanding the game, everything kind of slowing down for them, reads and, everything like that. So we've seen that with Bree. I think she had a tremendous summer. I think that there's been conversations I've had with her. We're running the same offense we ran last year, and she's like, oh, I understand it, that kind of thing. So Bree's matured, I think, on the court a lot, and hopefully that carries over to games. But I thought she had a really good year last year. I believe she was 9-6 or something like that. And then I think she can get better, this year if she just stays consistent and continues to work hard.
Jillian Brown, of course, missed last season, and last year you said having her on the sideline was almost like having another coach there. How great is it to have Jillian back on the court?
It's been awesome. I think, with JJ, we call her JJ, but with JJ, it was that when the injury happened, it was just kind of like, wow, it happened in May. It was just kind of shocking, but, everything happens for a reason. I think she really wanted to gain everything she could out of that experience of, kind of looking from a different lens, and I think she did. I think she's always been a kid that had a high IQ, but I think she was able to talk through things and see it from kind of like a coaching lens, so I think that's helped her with some of her reads on the court. I mean, she knows the system, she knows the culture, she's been here 3 years, but being removed for 1 year, I just think helped her IQ even more.
Of course, and you have those returners, you have a lot of new transfers. What did you guys do over the summer to mesh those groups together?
Yeah, it's crazy because we have 1 first year, 7 transfers, and 5 returners, and so bringing that group together was definitely a point of emphasis from the beginning, but it was like a seamless merge, and I expected it to be a little bit more difficult because there's so many different personalities, so many, different years, people transferring in, we have older kids, we have all kinds of things, but I thought everybody just got along, off the court we're talking about, got along like right away. We did a lot of team bonding, we did some things that were fun, we did some labs that we do. That's my life skills program. And we just did some things where we, put them in positions where they can learn each other a little bit more. And I think that expedited that process a little bit, like the maturation process of the group. But, I mean, on the court, the off the court translated to on the court, too. I think we've had great chemistry. Everything's a work in progress. Obviously, we're still in October, and we're moving towards getting ready, for our first exhibition and things like that. But I just really like our camaraderie. I think it's been really, really good.
Of course, and I spoke with Coach Staley recently, and she said that this program is full of talent, full of hard workers. She sung your praises a lot. And she also said that a next step for this program is to get the UVA community to get out there, go to the games. What's your message to the fans?
Yeah, I mean, our fans have been really supportive since I first got here, and I just appreciate them. So that's the first thing I always say. I just thank you. A big thank you to Wahoo Nation, because I do think they do show up and show out. But now we just ask them to bring a friend, bring somebody with you, and let's see if we can really pack JPJ. There's no reason why we can't sell out this place. There's no reason why we can't average, what we had 2 years ago for that Virginia Tech game here, which was 12,000 fans, somewhere around there. There's no reason why we can't do that. I think we're going to have a fun group to watch, but I also think, women's basketball is on the rise, and I just want us to be a part of that too.
Over the course of the last few years, you've had more wins regular season, more wins in the ACC each year. This year, you said you're in the preseason, the highest ranking since 2017. What does this team need to do to kind of take that leap to the next step, win those 2 or 3 extra games that you need to make that tournament?
Yeah, I mean, we have to just handle adversity a little bit better. I think it's a completely different group this year where we're mature, a little bit more experience. Obviously, Kamura Johnson is older. Paris Clark is older. Some of those, Olivia, some of those have been like the core pieces. But I just think we have a mature group, and we just have to make sure we push through and be resilient and persevere through adversity. That's the biggest thing. I mean, I think there were so many games last year where we had to climb out of a hole, So it was like we hit adversity, and then nobody stopped the bleeding. We didn't respond until it was too late. And we're fighting, and then we just run out of time. So, some of those close games that we lost last year, I think we could, close those out better, because we're going to handle adversity a little bit more. But it's all about just staying humble and hungry. I think we have a talented team. I think it's the most talent we've had since I've been here. A mature group. I think it's a group that wants to win, wants to compete no matter what. And we've been, up and down with that in the past, like getting all, 5 players on the court, but, the whole entire team, 13, 14, whatever it is, just to compete, want to win and be resilient at the same time. So I've seen that through this, summer and preseason. So competing is more than half the battle for me. Like, if you can compete and you have that will, that drive, that will to win, then we can, push you over the edge and close some of those games out.
You did not make a big deal about Paris's injuries last season, but I don't know if she was 100% at all the whole year. Where is she in terms of her health now? And if she's healthy, what difference does that make for her?
Yeah, Paris was hurt the whole season and played hurt, but she just really wanted to be there. She knew, we needed her, and she just really laid it on the line for us. So appreciate everything that kid's done since she's been here, but she's actually played hurt pretty much her whole time here and had some procedures in off-season. But right now, she's playing the best basketball I've seen her play. She's healthy, she's confident, she's leading, she's affecting the game on both sides of the ball. It's the Paris that we've been, trying to get to. We've seen flashes of it during, certain games, and maybe even for streaks. There might be 4 or 5 games at a time, and then maybe she gets a small injury here and there. But she's healthy right now, knock on wood. But I think, this is going to be, this is her last year, obviously, and I think it's going to be a good one for her.
Coach, can you talk about your expectations?
Wait, sorry.
Sorry, no, you're
You.
fine. Expectations early in the season through these exhibition and non-conference games, and what's your approach there? Like, are you going to be using those games to experiment with lineups and roles, or do you have already a pretty good idea of how the team's going to be looking in those games?
Yeah, I mean, I'm experimenting with lineups and roles right now, and I think that's what scrimmages are for, exhibition games are for. Hopefully we get, a starting 5 that, we can ride with for a majority of the season. But with a talented team, you just, all 13 players can play. And so you just never really know, is there going to be a consistent starting 5, or is it, whoever's stepping up that day? We're just kind of figuring all that out right now. But I do think, we're going to compete no matter who we play, from the exhibition game all the way through conference games. So, I'm not really focused on any big picture right now with the non-conference. It's just the next game. The next game is the most important game. And I think when you start looking ahead, and taking teams for granted, that's when you drop one. So I just really want us to pay attention to the next team and make sure we prepare for that team, beat that team, and then move on to the next one.
Yeah, just a little more on that deep rotation that you guys have now. Mo was averaging like nearly 40 minutes a game last season, but now you've got these new guards like Gabby, and Paris praised her a lot at the ACC tip-off and said she's really been showing up in practice. So how are you kind of going to manage that new guard rotation and ensure that the team's strengths are still being played to?
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to manage it yet. That's a good problem to have. I mean, we have 13 players that can really play, so I'd rather that than not. So I think we're just focused on consistency right now, and people will separate themselves, and some have, so we just want everybody to compete right now, focus on improving every day, not necessarily proving anything, and then we'll go from there. But Mo, definitely I'm excited that she'll be able to get a breather here and there, or get to be moved off the ball and play the two, because she can do that as well. She's a phenomenal scorer. So I think, I know she's excited about that too, because just the pressure of going into games knowing we didn't have a backup point guard due to injury was a lot for her, because I can't get hurt, I can't get in foul trouble, my team needs me, she's practicing every rep, she's playing every rep, and that's a lot for anybody. Obviously, the kid has a motor, but I think this is going to make her be even better. So I'm excited about that. But we do have a deep roster. Gabby, she's a coach's kid. She comes in just with a really high IQ, work ethic. She can do multiple things. She's ahead of her time, I guess you should say, for a first year, just from a physical standpoint, IQ standpoint. So I really like what she brings, but I really feel like we're deep in every spot.
Hey, Coach, when you had to replenish your ranks in the front court, was there a specific skill or need that you were looking for, whether that was shot blocking or rim protection or interior scoring or rebounding? Was there something you specifically searched for that you thought could be the missing piece maybe for this year's group?
Yeah, I mean, all of it, to be honest. We went into the portal. We didn't have any bigs on roster at that point. We knew some attrition would happen, but we since I've been here, we hadn't had like a true five that played, significant minutes for us. Like, we had a lot of fours, great fours that were playing the five. Even last year, Latasha Lattimore, we had Cameron Taylor, even Sam Burnell played the four. The five, London Clarkson, all of them. Really their positions was a four. So it was important for us to get some size, but like to get a true five, someone that can score on the block, someone that can be a paint presence on both sides of the ball, play some defense, rebound, just really like impose their will in the paint. Like, that's important with size, right? So I think we got that. And then also, from our fours, we wanted some versatility, but also some length there where we can, not drop off on rebounding and have some athleticism to play the way we want to play. So it was kind of a mix of things, and I think we have a mix of things in our team. We have fours that can stretch the defense and play D, more 3 and D from the four. We have fours that are power, can score inside, rebound. We have fives that can do both. So I love the mix of bigs that we have in this group.
Are there specific pairings that are working well, or is this the experimentation process of figuring out your post chemistry?
Yeah, there's definitely some good rotations that I've seen and pairings that I've seen, and people have shined in different areas, but I'm not going to put a starting five out there right now to you if that's what you want, but I'm not doing that. But I do like the diversity of the group.
And one more question on Somaya and her versatility. Is she someone who can play with the ball or in the post, be a screener, but also somebody who can attack off the dribble? Just talk about her skill set.
Yeah, I think, Somaya has played the five most of her career. And, she's probably going to be more so at the four here. And she has a skill set that I don't think, a lot of people have seen. And I think that's really going to be beneficial for us, because she does have really nice touch from 15 feet, even stretching to the three some. But, 15 feet, she can rip and drive from there. She's a really good passer, and she brings a lot of winning experience. She's a national champion. And I think there's a lot to say for that. She's been on the floor contributing to winning a national championship. So just the mindset that you bring when you've been through that is going to be beneficial.
Last year, Alexis Ohanian kind of made his support for the program very public, and just wondering if you could shed any light on how that support has benefited your program and how that relationship has maintained over this past offseason.
Yeah, I mean, Alexis has been great. Obviously the financial support was what everybody was kind of, drawn to, but he's just a positive guy. First of all, he champions women's sports all around, but just the way he's championed us and his belief in his place. This is his alma mater, his belief in Carla and the athletics department, but, his belief in myself and our program. So, he didn't have to support us. He didn't have to buy into what we're doing, but he did. And I think it's been awesome. So he's always sending positive words of encouragement, even all through ups and downs of last season. He's never wavered. Now, he obviously expects a lot, this year, but I think everybody does, and I think that's awesome. It's an opportunity. Some people think it's pressure. I think it's an opportunity, and I think he understands that too. So I just appreciate who he is as a person. Obviously, the financial support helped us tremendously, helped bridge the gap a little bit with that for attaining more talent, but also retention as well. So I'm forever thankful to everything that he's brought to our program.
Where have you seen Kamura evolve, not just as a player? You mentioned a little about that in her leadership, stuff like that, but just as a person. Obviously, you've known her, since the recruiting trail, and she's very much known around these parts. But how have you seen her evolve as a person? She's had to take on all that responsibility that comes with, leading your team.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about the leadership piece. Obviously, that's huge. She's grown. She's matured. She's started, I think, every game she's been a part of here. And so when you come in as a first year and you have all these fourth years and fifth years and all that, and then you're starting and trying to lead, that could be an uncomfortable position. So I think she's just really matured in that role and is demanding more of herself and her teammates. So that's one. But she's she workaholic. She's always going to be in the gym, and I think you see it in her game. Her shooting percentages, even in practice, have gone up. Just her efficiency. It's hard to believe because she's always been pretty efficient, but that's gotten better. But I would say the biggest jump is defensively, and that's been a point of emphasis. So this summer we talked about getting better as in leadership role and all that, but then also defensively making a jump there because she's always been capable, right? But when you're going into a game and you're basically the only point guard, you don't want to foul. You don't want to do anything that's going to take you off the court. So we've seen flashes of when she could get out there and defend, but that's been a huge point of emphasis for her, and she's doing more and more of that on defensive end, just using her IQ and jumping past in lanes, getting tips and steals and deflections, rebounding obviously, but then also on-ball defense. I think she trusts some of the bigs back there that if she gets beat off the dribble, they're gonna clean it up and block some shots. But also, I just think she's buying into that because she knows if she does get a foul or if she gets tired or whatever, she can get subbed out for a second.
Kind of going back to Somaya, when you have someone on the team who's won the national championship before, been in that position, how much does that help you guys when you have someone who knows what it takes to get to that point?
Yeah, I mean, Somaya had a small procedure in offseason, and so she wasn't in all the practices this summer, but, she's somebody who is not used to losing, and does not want to lose and just brings that winning mentality and that drive. So it's huge. I mean, I think we have a lot more winning experience on this team outside of just Somaya. And even just our younger players, well, they used to be our younger players, now are older with, Mo and O and JJ and P and Bree. So I think, with that, adding Samaya's mentality has really just uplifted the team. So, her focus was just getting back healthy and, because she played in the NCAA tournament with LSU, kind of injured, and we didn't know that, but we just wanted to get her healthy, and I think the more and more she's feeling like herself, the more that leadership is coming out.
Coach, as you progress through the offseason, is there someone that jumped out to you or impressed you just as a whole this offseason?
I mean, I think it depends on the day you ask me, but I think, in a week, there could be multiple people that impress me. Gabby has been impressive. I think especially in the summertime, she's just so physical, explosive. Usually when first years come in, it's that, everybody's bigger, faster, stronger, but she didn't really, she doesn't stick out in that way. She sticks out in the other way. Like, she is fast, she's strong, she's explosive, she's competitive. She's not afraid to take like a game-winning shot in a drill or a scrimmage or things like that. She just has that drive to her. So I would say her, and then obviously, well, not obviously because you guys haven't seen us, but Tabby, we call her Tabby, Tabitha Manze, has impressed me greatly. She is very physical. She finishes at a high clip at the rim, but she's also very versatile. I don't think a lot of people know that. She can do a lot from 15. She can drive it. She can shoot. She can, there's a lot of things that she can do, and it's all at 6'4", 6'5". So she's strong and rebounds well. So I would probably say those two impressed me, I guess, the most, just because I wasn't exactly expecting that. I knew they were going to be good, but I mean, they kind of surpassed what I thought already. So, but everybody at some point in time, a dang ring, she shoots the three at a very high clip at 6'5" from the four spot. So there's been a lot of people on the team I can go through. Romy Levy, there's a lot of them. I mean, I think there's been weeks where I'm like, wow, okay, we got a player there. Oh, we got one there. There's just a lot. So I think my job is just trying to put everything together and making sure, we have the right lineups out there at the right time. Thank you, Coach. Thank you.